Welcome to today's Explainer. We're diving straight into a massive seismic shift happening right now in how we work with artificial intelligence. We are moving away from systems that simply answer our questions to systems that actually do our work. Today, we're going to break down exactly how you can position yourself at the very forefront of this revolution. Here is our roadmap for today. We'll be covering the Agentic AI shift, becoming an intent orchestrator, our roadmap to AI success, selecting and optimizing tools, establishing guardrails and oversight, and finally, elevating your human potential. All right, Section 1, the Agentic AI shift. We're moving from reacting to doing, so let's fundamentally shift how we view artificial intelligence. To understand where we're going, we really have to look at where we are. Generative AI? Well, it creates. It's reactive, relying on a single prompt. You ask it to write a draft, and it writes a draft. It's a fantastic tool, for sure, but it's fundamentally reactive. Agentic AI, on the other hand, actually performs. It's autonomous, and it handles complex, multi-step workflows. Think of a consulting firm. Generative AI can draft a client proposal for you. But Agentic AI, it can draft the proposal, submit it through your CRM, schedule a follow-up meeting with the client, adjust your project pipeline, and, honestly, probably try to expense the client's coffee. All from a single initial command. Generative AI creates, but Agentic AI performs. So what actually makes this possible? It comes down to the functional differences of multi-agent systems. Instead of one massive model trying to do everything, you have a system that can dynamically decompose a complex goal into smaller subtasks. And these agents have shared persistent memory, meaning they actually remember what happened yesterday. They exhibit coordinated autonomy. So if an agent hits a blocker, it doesn't just stop and wait for you. It can recursively reallocate tasks to other agents to find a solution, totally without constant human handholding. It's a massive transition from an isolated action to a collaborative, self-improving workflow. Moving to Section 2, becoming an intent orchestrator. To survive this technological shift, your personal role and mindset must radically evolve. Here is the crucial takeaway. You have to stop just feeding text into a chat window and start managing systems that act on your behalf. Focus on transitioning from being a prompt user to an intent orchestrator. A prompt user micromanages the AI, right? They spell out every single tiny step. But an intent orchestrator acts way more like a manager of a highly capable team. You set the vision, you establish the boundaries, and you let the intelligent agents determine the absolute best path to execute your goals. Now, doing this requires a completely new skill set. You'll need to master what's called intent engineering. Basically, this means moving from basic prompts to defining the system intents, constraints, and boundaries that govern autonomous AI behavior. You're not just writing instructions anymore, you are defining the whole environment. You're basically telling the AI, okay, here's the goal, here are the tools you have access to, and here are the strict rules you absolutely cannot break while trying to achieve it. Okay, Section 3, Roadmap to AI Success. Let's look at a practical 5-phase blueprint for your career. This roadmap perfectly illustrates the exact journey and essential skills you should be working toward. In Phase 1, the cognitive foundation, you master goal decomposition, breaking massive goals into chunks the AI can actually handle. In Phase 2, technical proficiency, you apply that intent engineering we just talked about. Phase 3 is operational orchestration, where you master system integration, securely connecting these AI agents to your CRMs and databases. Phase 4 brings in human-in-the-loop oversight, where you practice reflexive evaluation, critically auditing the AI's decision chains. And finally, Phase 5 is strategic leadership, where you master the governance of these systems. Section 4, selecting and optimizing tools. With the necessary skills mapped out, we need to know how to effectively select and optimize the tech itself. You know, you don't always need a sledgehammer to crack a nut. A really vital part of resource optimization is knowing exactly when to use a high-powered large language model, or LLM, versus deploying a cheaper, highly focused small language model, an SLM. LLMs offer incredibly high reasoning, but they come at a high cost. They're great for complex planning. But for repetitive, task-specific actions, like routing an email or categorizing data, an SLM is vastly more cost-effective and reduces latency. Orchestrating intent means balancing these resources perfectly. Plus, you must select enterprise-grade tool ecosystems that strictly adhere to compliance standards. When agents act autonomously, they are touching your proprietary data, so you have to look for specific enterprise security criteria. Things like Know Your Agent or KYA protocols to verify agent identity. Depending on your industry, you might need FedRAMP authorization, SOC 2 Types 1 and I, HIPAA compliance, and absolutely encrypted audit trails. Never, ever compromise on security when you're handing over autonomy. Section 5. Establishing guardrails and oversight. Because these intelligent agents act autonomously on your behalf, establishing strict safety mechanisms is absolutely non-negotiable. You must set early AI guardrails to protect your organization. Step 1, define specific risk thresholds. Basically ask yourself, what is the worst possible outcome if an agent makes a mistake here? You definitely don't want it accidentally bankrupting the company over a misunderstood invoice. Step 2 is implementing human-in-the-loop, or HITL, oversight for those high-risk decisions, ensuring a human actually approves critical actions. And Step 3 is enabling autonomous fail-safes and escalation levels. If the agent gets confused, it needs to automatically pause and escalate the issue right back to you. Which brings up a fascinating and kind of terrifying question: who is accountable when the autonomous agent fails? Research calls this the moral crumple zone. When accountability diffuses across the developers, the AI, and the user, who takes the blame? Well, as the orchestrator, you do. This is why you must practice reflexive evaluation to continually audit AI decision chains. You can't just set it and forget it. You're responsible for reviewing the logs and making sure the system's logic actually remains sound over time. As the orchestrator, you essentially become the ultimate trust layer. You're responsible for managing what researchers call the AI's jagged intelligence, that weird phenomenon where an AI might be absolute genius at complex data analysis, but inexplicably fail at simple scheduling logic. Your job is to smooth out those jagged edges, keeping core ethical and governance considerations in mind to guarantee the AI's actions perfectly align with human objectives. Finally, Section 6, elevating your human potential. Let's explore the ultimate strategic payoff of mastering this entire roadmap. Really, it's all about reclaiming your time and cognitive energy. Look at what you delegate versus what you keep. By offloading rote scheduling, research summaries, and data reporting to these agentic systems, you actively reclaim your cognitive load. You free yourself up to keep the high-value work that machines just cannot replicate: strategic planning, ethical judgment, human empathy, and creative innovation. Agentic AI isn't here to replace you, it's here to elevate you to your highest possible human potential. As agentic AI completely reshapes the landscape of modern work, it leaves us with one defining question to end on today. Are you ready to stop prompting and start orchestrating? The tools are here, the roadmap is clear, and the transition from reactive user to proactive orchestrator is yours to make. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I challenge you to start engineering your intent today.